mark Earth Day this April, taking inspiration from Ralph Becker and his group Urban Greens that's bringing sustainability to the way we eat and grow our food.
After living and working around the world, the 40-year-old Filipino-German decided to deepen his Filipino roots and settle in the country, establishing Urban Greens in October 2016 to provide food security solutions. We find out what inspired Ralph to step away from the corporate world and take up farming, the challenges and lessons learned so far in the startup world, and his dreams to build a cleaner, greener Philippines, a greener world.
Ralph, welcome to Profiles.
Thank you very much.
I want to talk about your journey to becoming a farmer because you were in corporate business development for over 10 years. You're a tech enthusiast. Let's talk about you growing up.
One of my grandparents was a farmer, but that never played a significant role in my personal life. I know that growing up, I had quite a lot of plants surrounded. I grew up in Europe, and my mom, being from the Philippines, being Bisaya, she always wanted to make sure that we are surrounded with tropical plants and palm trees at home, so as to make herself feel right at home. We came to the Philippines quite often, and I got to see some of my local heritage here, coming here for Christmas and New Year's. I didn't lose my Filipino-ness altogether.
You've been living in 11 countries.
I've been living in all different places around the world. I had a corporate job, and even for my studies, I studied in the UK, in Paris, and in Bangkok. And for work, I got to live in places like Tokyo, San Francisco, Barcelona, London as well, and Berlin, and that gave me quite a lot of opportunities, and after which I decided after 10 years that I needed to go back to my Filipino roots, and that's what made me come back here.
So why did you decide to get into urban farming of all things?
When I came here, I didn't really know what it was 2 years ago. I wanted to do something that is more impactful, where I could use my skill and my knowledge for something that would help more people. After moving here from San Francisco, from California, which is literally the food basket of the US, I saw that fresh greens and vegetables were actually more expensive here in the Philippines than they were over in California. And also from a quality point of view, I thought that they were of lesser quality here, which to me was shocking because the Philippines is such a green and lush country. So I told myself that I would grow my own vegetables in my own space. In Makati, I created a window farm based on hydroponic systems, which I looked up on YouTube.
Self-taught.
Self-taught, and I saw a lot of these videos about these urban farms, vertical farms, and I was so fascinated about it. And I thought to myself that really there must be people doing this here, and my research showed that there's nobody here who did this on a larger scale, particularly addressing the urban needs. So I thought, hey, if nobody does that, maybe that's an opportunity for me to do this. And at least it was something that motivated me to wake up in the morning and to create.
And food security is a big issue. I mean, by 2050, there will be almost 10 billion people on the planet, and 70% of them in urban areas. And we're feeling that here in Metro Manila. What were some of the big problems that really stood out for you in terms of food security in the Philippines?
Absolutely. So I found that the Philippines, it's getting hot now, and we have typhoon season coming up. So the food fluctuation, the quality and the price and availability is not always secure. It's not always given. What happens is that the Philippines imports a lot of the produce from China, Australia, New Zealand, Vietnam, and Thailand, which is strange to me because like many years ago, the Philippines was the main exporter of these goods, and now it's a complete reversal in roles. This is what prompted me because particularly during typhoon season or when it's really hot, you have to water a lot, and all of these people who move to the urban spaces have to be fed. What we wanted to do is address the issue of the whole carbon footprint that is generated through the import of these produce that comes from abroad, and actually trade that for food steps and reclaim some of the urban spaces that we have created and grow right at the footstep, at the doorstep where food is being consumed. So we wanted to turn urban gray spaces into flourishing green spaces.
Ralph shows us the hydroponic towers they set up at the Life Science Center for Health and Wellness in BGC.
So this is a hydroponic tower. It comes in different types and shapes. The way we have it here and the way it works There's a 100-liter tank in the bottom, which we fill with water and with the nutrients that the plants need. The water gets pumped up with a small aquarium pump, and then it trickles down from the inside, and then the roots, they get drizzled with nutrient-laced water.
Hydroponics is all about water, no soil.
There's no soil, and you can see here, this is a talinum plant, so the local Philippine spinach, and the roots are nice and white and clean. The plant itself grows in a sort of a sponge or in rock wool or in different material, and that's basically to just stabilize it. But the roots here, they dangle inside. They get all of the rich nutrients from the water, and that's how they get lush and clean.
So how easy is it to maintain something like this?
It's fairly easy because once people always tell me that they don't have a green thumb and that they always forget to water their plants. In this system, you will never forget because it will just water itself.
And basically, this is pick and eat, right?
It's pick and eat, yeah.
Synthetic fertilizer or anything.
No, and because this hasn't been sprayed by, let's say, organic fertilizer or manure, which needs to be washed out, you can actually go in and here the mint leaves, you know, you can take that out.
Okay.
Very fresh. Or a little talinum leaf here.
I don't think I've ever tried this. Yeah.
And these are all fresh here.
Great, this is a good lunch, Ralph.
It's
this is a good
lunch,
meal.
yeah.
Nice to eat with you.
Urban Green's founder and CEO Ralph Becker is on a mission to increase urban farming around the metro, reducing farm-to-table distance, thereby minimizing our carbon footprint. We get to know Ralph with a quick round of questions.
Car, train, or bicycle?
Walking.
Countryside or urban jungle?
Urban jungle.
Steak or grilled vegetables?
Steak with grilled vegetables on the side.
Okay, that's safe. What is your favorite food?
Pizza.
What's the unhealthiest food you've eaten?
All of the fast food combined.
What do you love most about the Philippines?
The people.
What environmental crimes really annoy you?
Excessive use of plastic bags and plastic just being thrown away everywhere here in the Philippines.
If you had a superpower, what would it be?
Maybe flying.
If you weren't an urban farmer, tech enthusiast, what would you be?
Astronaut.
After quite a growth spurt in just a span of less than 2 years, Ralph tells us about the biggest challenges of his startup, Urban Greens.
We basically started from scratch. We've obviously had to acquire some proper agricultural skill on board and figuring things out from the start. And I think it's with all of the startups go through. If you come to a conclusion that this is what you want to do and you have an idea, now how to implement it, right? You have to put your money where your mouth is. Figuring things out and growing the business with the team, you know, and getting the right people on board, which I've had the fortune to have. That major challenges, of course, and particularly educating the market around what it is that we're trying to do and what to achieve, generated a lot of the challenges.
Ralph is passionate about what he does, just as I am as well. So, you know, that goes a long way in terms of just being able to figuring out problems when you're in a startup, because that's basically what a startup is. You're there to hammer out problems and get to your product or your service that you're providing. Doesn't micromanage. We have a clear vision. And what do we need to do to get there?
He's very resourceful and just very observant of surroundings, and I feel very fortunate to be working with Urban Greens because I wanted to make sure that I believed in the company that I was working for. And when I found Urban Greens, I thought, like, okay, this is perfect because it's greenifying Manila, which needs it, not just in aesthetics and looks, but also in health, which I am very passionate about.
Part of Urban Green's mission is to give back to the community, and we do so by using the same hydroponic systems that we've currently set up in the 5-star hotels, bars, and restaurants, and to come here to such underprivileged areas such as Tondo, and to use those same systems to grow healthy and clean-grown greens to be part of the feeding programs for these malnourished kids.
You work with communities like Tondo. What exactly are you doing with these other areas?
So
other
the beauty
partners?
about what it is we're doing is that we're providing fresh and healthy greens to clients such as five-star hotels and bars and restaurants, because they have a deficiency and a specific demand for it due to the environment that it's grown in. Now we found that Tondo or such unprivileged communities around, they have the same requirements because their environment is also not very conducive into growing fresh and healthy greens. They don't have access to food in general, let alone healthy and clean food. So us growing in systems that are self-contained, that's how we manage to provide the local communities with fresh and healthy greens.
So what's the reception so far with the community there?
It's really fantastic. We are seeing the children being exposed to, let's say, fresh greens for the first time, where we introduce them to leafy greens, and we tell them like, here, you can actually try, you can eat this, and they're like, wait, it's a leaf. I don't know, can you actually eat leaves? But then later, you explain them what it is and how it grows, and them seeing how it grows is really empowering, and they start learning about it. They even start having a different taste and a gusto for fresh and homegrown greens.
And this is something else you're also doing with WWF Philippines.
We're working with the WWF on a project called Sustainable Diner, where they go out to different larger scale partners, hotels and restaurants, and where they look into where those guys really get their food from. Like, what is the environmental impact of the food they receive, and are there better ways of sourcing their goods and their produce that they then sell on to their customers.
Another Urban Greens partner is Life Science, which is slowly expanding its hydroponic rooftop system.
We want to actually help create solutions for our clients in bringing safe, clean, and nutrient-dense food items closer to the point of consumption by shortening the gap or the distance between the farm and the plate. We will be able to maximize the nutritional benefits of what we can get out of these produce. So we actually use this to be able to serve healthy food for our clients.
I'm with the resident chef here at Life Science, JL, and he's developing healthy recipes for the clients. Hi, JL.
Hi.
So what are you showing us today?
Today I'll be preparing a really simple green salad for you guys with a raspberry vinaigrette and some cherry tomatoes and almonds. So we have an assortment of greens, romaine, iceberg, and some arugula. Really bite-sized pieces. Just cut some cherry tomatoes.
Normally, what do you use to garnish your salad?
Well, for this recipe, I'll be using the basil and some mint.
Okay.
Then cut them into what we call chiffonades.
Ah, chiffonades. Okay.
Nice. So this will just add a bit of
Kick.
kick to the salad.
Yeah.
And what I'll do is I'll just drizzle the vinaigrette over. So the arugula adds a bit of sharpness to the
Yes, I
salad.
love arugula.
We just add more color to the plate.
Yeah. Let's see, I love salad, so let's taste. Cheers. Really good. I could eat this every day. Thank you, Chef.
Yeah.
Really good.
And
So,
the dressing really blends well with the tomatoes. So
there's no name for this, right? So let's
No.
call it the JL Earth Day Salad.
we take a trip to the ruins in Poblacion, Makati, a hip entertainment and cultural hub where Urban Greens has just set up its newest space.
So here we are in our little urban farm. It's pretty crammed in here, but we're on this 21 square meters here, which has been given to us by the Z Hostel. And even in the small space, you can see here how lush, how green it is.
Yeah.
It's quite warm in here. It's a little bit like a greenhouse. And we managed to grow vegetables, greens, leafy greens, all sorts of different herbs for the bars and restaurants around in the Poblacion areas. The bar next door, if they're looking for fresh mint for their mojitos, they come up here, grab their mint, and it's as fresh as it gets.
The cafes get their salad greens. from
Absolutely,
here.
yeah.
Do you see this being replicated, soon, or what are your plans to expand it?
So we're actually replicating this model from what has been happening as a worldwide trend. Countries such as Singapore, Hong Kong, the US, the Netherlands, Japan, they've all embraced urban vertical farming, and it isn't something that is big in the Philippines yet, and we're the first ones to bring it here locally to the Philippines.
Yeah. So how many plants do you have now, and how many are you dreaming of having here?
So we're in a very, very small space here. We are on 21 square meters, and we can actually grow about, right now we're growing 1,000, but by the end of, let's say in a month or two, we'll be able to grow 2,000 plus plants on 21 square meters, which is more than 100 plants per square meter. This system here, which we're currently building, and it's not yet finished, can grow about 600 to 700
Wow.
plants. So on this very, very small space and on about like 3-4 square meters, that's about 700 plants. So a lot, this is going to be completely different. So here we've prepared already a couple of basil, so we're testing with basil at the moment. All of these racks will be filled with different sorts of herbs and greens, and it will be connected to like grow lights. It will be connected to our IoT system that monitors the water temperature, the nutrient level, all sorts of the lighting.
Yeah.
So yeah, and this is going to be our main system.
Well, we are very happy to collaborate with Urban Greens because we believe in sustainable food production and being able to produce food right at the place of consumption. Also to reduce carbon footprint and increase the freshness. So whenever we tour our guests, we show them the ruins, not just for them to see the place, but for them to also be educated with urban farming.
Ralph's colleague Ira Evangelista explains the seeding process for their hydroponic system.
We will need a TDS meter, which means total dissolved solution. We will need a pH reader, and then we will also need your growing medium, as can be seen here, some seeds, and then your bin, your basin to put the growing medium in. So basically, I've already conditioned the water. Conditioning the water means that you get the water to a pH level of 5.5 to 6.0. These mediums have already been soaked in the conditioned water. Afterwards, we're gonna choose the seeds that we want to put in the medium right here. So we're gonna just choose the healthiest ones and just make sure that they're not too dry from the right out of the packet. These are cilantro seeds, and normally after you put them into the medium, it takes about 7 days for them to start germinating. So I'm putting about 2 or 3 per medium, just so that we have a nice and lush plant sprouting from the medium. All right, so after you put the seeds in, you would actually pinch the tops off just so that you can block the sunlight from coming in, and that allows the seeds to germinate fully. We then want to put it in a place that's humid as well as dark, which is why we have a little station here that has a basin that we can store our seedlings in. And then I'll just put this in here, and I'll just check on them every couple of days or so.
Ralph shares some of the biggest lessons they've learned along the startup way.
So for me, it became really apparent that countries like Singapore or territories like Hong Kong, they've long embraced urban farming as a means to provide their urban population or their total population with healthy food and being less dependent on the outside market. Now the Philippines particularly Metro Manila, there's a unique opportunity to set up these local bigger farms in these territories, so we mitigate all of the adverse effects of climate change and external impact, and we grow locally right there. We're happy to be here. It's a substantial market for us, and we're happy to be right here at the right timing in order to provide a solution.
So what is your advice to other budding entrepreneurs, startups?
It's really hard. Don't let anyone tell you that you can't do it. If you have an entrepreneurial spirit and drive, just stick to it, push on every day. Sometimes you have to take a step back, sometimes you have to refocus, look around you, and maybe change your direction. But as long as you are convinced about what it is that you're doing, then you should just go on and press on.
You're a very young company, and I'm sure you're still seeing a lot of projects in the future. What are your dream scenarios? What do you want to see happen for Urban Greens?
The overall dream is to have the biggest hydroponic or vertical farm within Southeast Asia. That's really ambitious. The Philippines has a lot of potential. We want to have a setup in all of the bigger markets, in all of the bigger islands, and really provide healthy and fresh greens, make it more accessible to anyone, not only exclusively to higher end market, but to the masses. I think the local people deserve to have healthy, clean, fresh, and accessible greens here in the Philippines.
You're a tech enthusiast, corporate biz dev guy, you're a farmer. How would you describe your profile?
I like creating different things. I like building stuff myself. I paint in my spare time as well. So I love projects like this where I can just go in and create something and share my creation with other people.
Excellent. Well, thank you for inspiring us and helping the Philippines become a better place.
Thank you very much.